difficult to take MA in English as a regular course. Now, this thought hinted upon me to select a topic called point to reading literature and all. Amidst the gushing stream of popular culture today, the turbulent climate of politics, media heat, and misinformation, and the tornadic winds of modern educational theories, and the volcanic eruption of smart screens and technology, and above all, the noise of the desire on the part of the students, dare they take English literature program in their PG. In the past, when employment was assured, people had interest towards studying language and literature. But today, when there is a mad rush for professional courses, in English as an admission is possible only when there is a fire within on the part of student. Life is what happens when we are busy making other plans. The heart is the place of all secrets. But for employment, people sometimes take professional courses where their original interest is nested in literature. This is a double motion of thought. So, among popular culture, climate of politics, media beat, misinformation, tornadic winds of modern educational theories, innovation of smart skills and technology, a pertinent set of questions arise. Why read literature? Or of what value is literature? When you question students or any casual reader or lover of English language and literature, what do you really mean by literature when you ask like that? They say literature is a set syllabus prescribed by a particular university where we are bound to read some poetry, some drama, some essay, some novel, some criticism, and like that. But they cannot come to grips with the very idea of as to what exactly is defined by literature they are supposed to perceive it. Literature belongs to every country in every language where feelings are celebrated. English literature is a phrase which is largely different from literature in English. I can tell you, we are all teachers of English and we are not English teachers in India. When someone says he's an English teacher, he should have been born in England and therefore he becomes an English teacher. But a teacher of English notion is something different from the notion called English teacher. So it's the way it is. English literature, though it is misunderstood in similar lines to the concept called literature in English, but there is a subtle distinction between the two phrases. For example, there is a lot of French literature which is written in English. That becomes literature in English. Literature in English. But it is not English literature, it is French literature. There is Greek literature, there is German literature. So, literature is a body of knowledge, irrespective of the language in which it is written. This is one point I would like to drive home. See, literature is a reflection of life. Literature is something which we take the real conceptuality of life, and thereby it can regulate the sense of the journey of our lives. For example, we go to films, we go to watch films. Every film is intended to send a message. Every poem is intended to send a message. Every play is pregnant with a message. But for the message sake, we go through poetry, we go through novels, we watch films, we read a story, and so forth. Can I share with you to begin this lecture with a 6-word short story? Because short story is usually expected to have a good number of paragraphs or passages. But you know, Ernest Hemingway wrote a short story in 6 words. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. For sale, baby shoes, never worn. These are exactly 6 words. Shoes are kept for sale, they are never worn. Baby shoes are kept for sale, which are never worn. Makes tragedy. Tragedy is not that big a word we assume it to be in terms of reading Shakespeare's plays. Fresh shoes are bought for a baby who is expected to take birth. But that was not practically possible, and they are kept for sale again, and they are never worn, so fresh as they are bought and bought. You can imagine any thread, any fabric of story in 6 words. You see how literature affects life when you consider imagination as your instrument. Life is shaped by steps regulated taking from literature. I'm also prompted to share with you one underline at this juncture. Please try to comprehend the statement. A man digs his own grave, but with his own tomb. This is not a quotation told clearly, but like a scientific William Shakespeare. A man digs his own grave, but with his own tomb. What Shakespeare intended to communicate the meaning of this particular statement, what it will be. A man digs his own grave, but with his own tomb. It is as simple as this. How simple it is. Our food is our health. Many dietitians, many doctors warn us about to be conscious of our intake of the food to sustain good health. But you look at Shakespeare, he has written in such a subtle English. A man digs his own grave, but with his own food. I request all the participants to mute your mics. I can see that. See, when language is celebrated, it turns out to be literature. Literature and language are interlinked with each other. One is the root, other is the fruit. Without much proficiency in a language called English, we can never enjoy the fruits of English literature. Language is not something which is to be learned when we join a program in literature. Please underline this fact. See, I would like to take you back to Mac. Look like the innocent flower, but with a serpent under it. Spotted by Lady Mac. Look like the innocent flower, but with a serpent under it. When we get exposed to certain lines, are we not attracted to reading literature? Are we not supposed to find a point to reading literature? There is no art to find mind construction in the face. There are many quotations in English that face is index of the mind. But a contradictory statement comes. There is no art to find mind construction in the face. See, language teachers have a definite privilege of being loved by students. I don't generalize this particular statement, but when compared to those teachers who are dealing with optionals are deprived to some extent of getting attracted by students in the classroom. Because language teachers present
ఇప్పుడే
their
స్టార్ట్ అయింది
classroom instruction on a platform called sharing personhood in the class. Everyday experience, interesting episodes, anecdotes, proverbs, maxims, dictums, figurative language, choices to vocabulary connect students to literature. See, man only likes to count his troubles, but he does not count his joys, says Dostoevsky. I can say literary writing is a notion of performance, and interpretation of literature is a mark of performativity. The standard order of words is understood as figurative use of language. Oh, what a sound of silence. When you say this word, the figurative use of language beats our heart to explore the hidden meaning of a particular coinage of expression in English. There is always a kind of delight in instruction because every piece of literary writing is expected to attract students' attention. There is so much non-literary writing in the canvas. Scientific writing, for example, journalistic writing, for example, that comes under non-literary writing. But in the hands of an expert, non-literary writing also becomes literary writing. No teacher without classroom experience can go to the extent of making research in English. Research is possible for a teacher only through the act of teaching language and literature as far as English is concerned. The very literariness, I can tell you an example. A father in a particular story who is a cruel man, he encounters a mentally retarded woman and makes her pregnant. And she gives birth to a child. Then he becomes a father to that saintly son. After some passage of time, that mentally retarded mother expired. After that, a realization comes to the real father to share the entire flashback of the birth of the boy to the boy. That saintly son listens to his father in his constant attention to father's narration. The boy, just by mere act of listening to the narration, becomes drenched in sweat. And this instant is a mark of the pain the boy underwent while listening to the suffering of his mother in the hands of his father. So this is when pain is experienced, there we find a place called literariness. Because all literariness of any literary writing ends in delight and pleasure and pain. After all, listening to and reading literature is an emotional experience. It is a creative experience. So today there are many intellectuals in the world. The word intellectual, when applied to a person who is known for his knowledge, is possible only because that particular so-called intellectual depended on writing of writing literature. Any written literature makes people become intellectuals. So intellectuals are possible today in the world because their flashback is based on their reading of what is already written. So language teachers are taken for developing emotional leadership, giving creative experience. For example, when I take Nelson Mandela is an example of being a student under a teacher who has become the icon of emotional leadership. There are hundreds of leaders in the world. A leader knows the way, shows the way, and goes the way. There are five kinds of leaders in the world. One such leader is one who does things always himself. Second type of emotional leader gets things done. Third type of leader gets all abilities and provisions to take up a work of action and does it. And fourth kind of leader has all the support of his followers, has all the abilities to implement it, and creates focus in the world and with our different practices across the world, much to the notice of the world. And at a particular point of time, their success is forgotten in the pages of history, long pages of history after the passage of long years of his sustenance. But one such emotional leader called Nelson Mandela, for example, is one such leader whose leadership continues to live even after the death of the leader. So, language teachers are taken for developing emotional leadership in the classrooms by giving creative experience to the students in the classes. And Mandela says one particular line: the greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Never falling is never a possibility, but rising every time when we fall only marks the success of a man. See, ever since childhood, language and usage have always attracted me. Though I studied science in my degree, though I studied MPC in my inter, though I pursued some optional courses like MSc Physics for some time in my life, language and usage have always attracted me. Despite popular belief, not all writing is literary. The best literary works are those authored by multiple authors over time, generally influenced by earlier works, including Shakespeare. There was a quotation that Shakespeare's literature doubled in all richness in 30,000 vocabulary. You know, Shakespeare is a popular man in the world who is known to have established new vocabulary in English language and literature while writing plays and 154 sonnets. So these masterpieces address global subjects. For example, there are tragedies, there are comedies, there are tragicomedies, there are history plays. When you say Shakespeare wrote history plays, Shakespeare is not a historian. He does not do the job of writing history of some king in the past. But Shakespeare is a researcher, Shakespeare is an explorer, Shakespeare is a discoverer in his path to excellence to know the nature of man. There is no other person possible on this good earth who is better than Shakespeare when it comes to the subject of knowing human nature. See, when he wrote Richard III as a history play, he did not write when Richard III came to power and what were his accomplishments when he was a king and what were his subjects, what was the policy of his administration. History is never written by Shakespeare. But Shakespeare could only write when power is given to man, how does man behave? When excess money is bestowed on man, what does he do with the money? When excess time is bestowed on man, what does man do with the time? Just like in animal form, there is George Orwell's statement: excess power, excess time, and excess money corrupts people. When you take Russian literature into hand, where animal form is intended to be understood by us as readers, surplus time and surplus money and surplus power corrupt people. We should insulate ourselves from having these three in abundance. So these masterpieces are about global subjects. There are no greater global subjects than the multifaceted natures of humans. Man is man's biggest enemy, says Martin Niemöller in a poem called A Plea for Action. Literature has cultural, aesthetic, and intellectual value. This is what is projected in celebrity writers' writings. For example, in Richard III, I would like to share with you capsules of small anecdotes. When Richard III comes into the street, he complains to his followers, "Dear assistant, dogs bark at me when I halt by them." Assistant says, "My lord, dogs bark. What do you speak? Dogs bark at me, I say." "My lord, dogs bark. It is their nature, not to insult. Nature, nature is a second habit." But Bacon says, Richard III has got an idea in his mind due to egoistic concerns that even dogs